timing was everything. Dance With You, that was going to change the whole game. Like, we didn't actively understand what we were doing. We were just doing what was natural to us.
What's been the big moment for you in your journey?
You know, Anila, I think...
How do you become a globally recognised name in a competitive industry? Hi, I'm Anila Dami.
And I'm Rakesh Chauhan. Welcome to the Global Indian Creatives Podcast,
where you'll hear how household names have carved a path in their fields,
helped create the cultural narrative of British Asian Indians in society, and whose stories can inspire anyone with a dream.
Jay Sean is a British singer and songwriter. Sean was raised in West London, and the former medical student took the UK's Asian music scene by storm after his single Dance With You under the Rishi Rich Project reached number 12 in the UK singles chart. He made history as the first British Asian to top the US charts, and since then he has had numerous worldwide collaborations as he has risen to international stardom.
Your work with Rishi and Juggy was the catalyst and the beginning. But what was that period of time like for you? And what was the lead up to it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when Rishi and I got together in the studio, we were working actually just on my own music. So we didn't actually have a plan per se in our head that we were about to go and create this song called Dance With You that was going to change the whole game. Like, we didn't actively understand what we were doing. We were just doing what was natural to us, you know, music that we felt. Growing up in England, in an Indian family, of course, you're listening to Bollywood music, you're listening to Bhangra Punjabi music, but you're also, you know, growing up in West London, you're listening to R&B, you're listening to hip hop. So when we were in the studio, we were just doing what felt natural to us, what felt true to us. And I guess in doing so, we created this something that had never been heard before, never been done before, with Dance With You. And that was that combination of Punjabi, hip hop, R&B, English, all on one. And it changed the scene, you know, and it changed our lives.
How did you all meet?
That's a funny one. I had seen Rishi many times before when I was on the local circuit, right? So I was actually rapping at the time. I was in a group called Compulsive Disorder, which was a hip hop group, which was myself, basically my cousin and I. The reason it's called Compulsive Disorder, we're clearly two science geeks. Both were in medical school at the time, but we were in a hip hop group called Compulsive Disorder, and we used to call up local promoters and try to get onto like the Mellas and stuff like that. And I saw Rishi at one of them, and I was like, man, I really need a producer, and I know that, you know, you're a G in this game. I'd love to work with you. And he said, yeah, cool, man. Let's see what we can do. And that was when I was just rapping. And then I guess 2 years later on, we met again. And I was like, bro, I recorded a CD. I just wanted to listen to it. And this was actually me singing. And that's when he called me up and he said, you need to come to the studio.
How did you know you could sing, and why singing? Because I suppose you have to have some level of confidence to approach someone like Rishi Rich at the time, big time producer doing big things, and you're like, right, I rap, I sing, and I want you to listen to me, and I'm good. Was there did you have that?
I mean, I always knew I could sing a little bit, and rapping was really my main thing though, right? So I remember I had this whole album that I had done as a rapper, and some of those songs I sent into Choice FM. Choice FM, of course, R&B hip hop, #1 radio station in West London for R&B and hip hop. And they actually got back to me and said, you know, we actually really like this stuff. We're going to be playing it tonight at midnight. And it was one of the songs that I had done. But I got very friendly with one of the radio presenters there. His name was DJ 279. And he said, what else do you have, bro? He's like, send me other stuff. So I sent him more and more stuff. And then he picked a couple of the songs where I actually was singing on the hook as opposed to just rapping the whole way. And he's like, I didn't know you could sing. He's like, do you do more of that? And I was like, I didn't know I could sing either, but I guess so. Yeah, all right. If you think I can sing, I'll do a bit more of the singing stuff. And it just so happened that like even friends around me, my family, they were like, just record a bit more of the singing and see what happens there. And I loved both. And I guess that it was really the singing that took my career to the extent where it's at now, you know.
Your sound is truly global. You've entertained audiences over here in the UK, in India, in America, and across the world too. What do you think it is that makes your sound truly global?
I think, honestly, what happened with me and my career was timing, was everything. There had never been a brown boy doing English music on a mainstream level that big. There just never been one. So when you're the first to do it, nobody forgets that. Yeah. Your fans don't forget it. You're a part of their life. You're a part of their childhood. You're a part of something that part of their dreams. There were perhaps many Indian kids who dreamt of being rappers or being singers, but we were always told, look around you. Do you see one? Like, you can't do this. Don't be stupid. Don't give up medicine. Don't give up a great career in something that you know you can succeed at, when clearly over here is too difficult. It's evidence that it's too difficult because nobody's doing it. And I was like, well, that's all the more reason why I need to do it, is because somebody does need to change that. I used to be the brown boy who used to go to hip hop clubs and R&B clubs and hip hop concerts and watch Wu-Tang and watch all of these incredible artists, Usher, singing up there on stage. And there's a sea full of Indian people watching them, but there was none of us doing it. So if we could go there and listen to R&B and hip hop, if we could dance to R&B and hip hop, why couldn't we be up on that stage performing it? Yeah. And I needed to change that. And I think ever since I got that opportunity to get my foot in the door, you know, it's something that I always took very seriously, that I'm going to carry our people as far as I can around the whole globe and show people what we're about and what we can achieve. And that's still something that I fight for every day. That's something that I want to do, be able to put that spotlight on our culture, on our scene, on our people, and let the world know, change their opinions one day at a time, one show at a time, one song at a time, and let people understand, you know, what we've been trying to do for years. And I get that opportunity to do that.
And how do you feel when people who have seen you, who have been inspired, come up to you and decide to pursue a creative path? What's the feeling like for you?
Some of the biggest compliments I think that I've ever been lucky enough to receive are from people who said, if it wasn't for you, your career and what you managed to show us, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I got to tell my parents, but look, Jay did it, so that means I can do it. And I totally get that, because that's all I ever wanted, was to be able to get a foot through the door. And once I had my foot through the door, to knock that damn door down so that our people could come through. That is what I always dreamt of.
So from that place of you feeling like you needed to do it to the place where you did it, what was that space in between, how you broke the door down and your personal journey? How difficult was it for you personally?
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, we're talking 20 years ago now, where the landscape was completely different, right? It was just so uncommon for there to be brown faces on television, on radio. And because of that, I knew I would be up against A, some ignorance, B, just people who just don't understand anything about our culture or even understand my music, and would think, oh, what is brown? He must be, put him on BBC Asian Network, they'll handle it. Rather than, well, actually, did you listen to it? Like, maybe it's completely fine for your radio station, which is playing just pop and R&B music. And it was that kind of cultural ignorance that I did encounter a number of times. But then again, like, through humor, rather than just sort of getting angry about it or getting frustrated and playing the victim, I understood that I have to change these thoughts, these beliefs, and these people one day at a time. And so I think if you're talking about the personal journey, yes, it was having an understanding of where I was and why I may then come up against some adversity, and therefore how to overcome that. And you learn. There is no rule book that I could read that says, when you encounter this from blah, 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 do this and go to page 279. And it won't work like that. So I had to kind of figure it out myself.
There's so much there.
So much.
You're obviously very charismatic, and you're able to really connect to audiences. Having traveled a lot, performed, really showcased your sound, how do you think you said your personality and you've learned a lot on the way. How do you think your music then also has evolved since that? Do you think it's changed as a result of all your experiences?
I think music changes all the time through decades. Now, of course, with AI, it's going to change even more. We don't know where it's heading, right? But the only thing I try to do is to connect with people on a human level. And the reason I've always said, I think the reason my music works on a global level is because if you're talking about a theme as simple and as common as love, for example, it doesn't matter whether you are a 58-year-old Indian woman sitting in Delhi or, a 25-year-old guy who lives in Idaho in America and works at a factory. If you're connecting with people on a human level, talking about things that they can all relate to, then you are, of course, transcending those cultural barriers, those language barriers, those racial barriers, the age barriers. You're transcending all of that because you're writing about stuff that people understand, dream about, and want to enjoy and feel in their life, and I try to write about music that does that. And then when it comes to genres, I really enjoy just hopping around from different genres, whether it's dance music, R&B music, reggae music, Afrobeat. I feel like I don't like to put boundaries on myself because I feel like the world already tries to put you in a box. So if anything, I want to be able to create music where people go, how the fuck does he get away with that? 1 minute he's doing this, next minute he's doing a bloody Bollywood song, next minute he's doing, and I love being able to do that. I love being able to just hop around different genres and have the freedom to do that.
And talking about hopping around, you're always around and about the world. Do you miss London? And what's in store? What are you working on?
I miss London, obviously, because my family and friends are there. I miss the bants in London a lot. But again, I get to do that through my family and friends. We're talking all the time, especially through WhatsApp, obviously. And so for me, that's always going to have a very sort of emotional, sentimental place in my heart. But I've always said to people, just because you're born somewhere doesn't mean you have to die there. Go and see the world. Go and see where your heart feels like it belongs. So yeah, London will always be special to me, but I love being on a plane. I love going around the world. I love touring, traveling, discovering, meeting new people. And that's super fun for me.
What's it like touring when you've got your kids at home, obviously going to school, and your wife too?
Yeah, of course, it's funny, like the kids, they've totally gotten used to it now. It's like they get what dad does. In the beginning, obviously, it was probably, they're like, why is he gone so much? But now there's little things I do. Like, for example, Ava, I'll buy her a snow globe from every different place I'm in. So now when we come home, she can visually see where dad has been around the world. And also now there's a sentimental attachment to that. It's like, oh, dad's going to so-and-so. I know he's going to bring me back a snow globe. And with Ari, obviously, I'll bring him back toys. So I think he wants me to get out of the fucking house because he's like, yeah, I'm going to get a toy when I get back. So for them, it's sort of fun to see me do all these things. And I think now with Ava, especially kind of understanding when she's on stage, side stage with me, and just looking at the impact that, daddy can have on these people is actually quite sweet to her. And it's quite, I don't know, it finally makes me like somewhat cool dad to them now. And I think that's really nice. And Tara has always been very understanding about my career. She manages my career together with a partner of mine, and she's always had my back. So, it's a family thing, and it's down to me to try to be as present as I can be when I'm at home with them, which is what I try to do.
On that note of support, when you were deciding to become a singer, how important was having support from family, friends? Did you have to seek it from other places too, or was that driven by you saying, I really want to do this?
I don't think you can ever fully enjoy success if you don't have the blessings of the people that you love, right? You can get success, but can you enjoy it is a different thing. And for me, I'm able to enjoy the journey and even the hardships in the beginning because my parents were super, super involved and super, supportive from the beginning. Everyone always says, the first question, so how did your parents feel when you quit medicine? And I'm like, they were actually super happy because you would think every Asian parent would be like, no way, no way. And I always say to people, it's not just Asian parents. Any bloody parent would probably go, are you sure? But we're actually very, very supportive from the beginning. And I'll tell you, it's because, maybe they wouldn't have had I been in med school and then went, you know what? Oh, I think I want to be a singer. Like maybe I'm just going to quit this and then try to be a singer. A whole different story than actually pursuing them both simultaneously to the point where I actually had a record contract on the table while I was still doing medicine.
Yeah.
That was a bit then to convince mom and dad and say, well, mom, it's actually here. Look, I could sign it right now. And I think that gave them a little bit more hope that it wasn't going to be a terrible decision. So yeah, I've always had their support, and it's really important, I think.
Well, listen, here's a little story for you. I've actually met your parents. So you were performing at London Mela, and I was performing there too on the classical stage. So I was with your parents backstage while you were performing.
Ah.
I could see how proud they were of you. They were. So it's sort of a testament to all the hard work you've put in as well. You managed to continue that. I think maybe that was a decade or so ago. How have you continued the success? It's grown and it's grown. What advice would you give to people who, you see this a lot in sometimes creative industries, that people have one song and they decide, okay, wow, I've made it, I've done it. What made you say, actually, no, I want to do more and more?
You know what it is? I get very bored sitting around twiddling my thumbs, thinking, oh, I've been there, done that. I think to myself, there is so much we can see, so much we can do, so much we can achieve. Why do you have to stick in one place forever? Like I've always said, no one person is any one thing. So just because you're a singer doesn't mean you have to be a singer forever. Just because, you're Indian doesn't mean you have to watch Indian movies and eat Indian food all day. It's like all of these sort of things that people expect that you have to do because you're in this position. I always think, no, surprise them. Do something completely different. Do something else. You might enjoy it. So for me, music is always going to be my love, and I'll always make music and I always keep putting out music. But I get a kick out of doing other ventures. I think it's because obviously I was studying medicine. There is that academic part of my brain that needs to be challenged quite regularly. And I think that's why I have Smooth Sail, right? The sparkling sake company. But TV shows, right? I have a TV company now, put about 4 or 5 TV shows in production. There's all of these different things that I enjoy doing. And I think that keeps your creative juices flowing. And I think when you stay still and you're stagnant and you think, oh, I'm all right, I've made it. That's the day you stop trying. That's the day you stop enjoying life and living. And I think that's really what it is for me.
You're obviously doing so much. You've got so many more ventures coming up. But what's been the big moment for you in your journey?
Anila, I think it's the sentimental ones that are the most important to me. My granddad, on my dad's side, my grandparents, we grew up with them. They raised us, in the same house. And so basically they were like our parents, And before my granddad died, he always said to me, he said, as I was sort of in my journey, he was like, one day I want to see you on the top, my son, my grandson, top, #1 position. Now, this is before I had my #1 US Billboard. This was before things really started blowing up. And I remember I was standing there and Enrique Iglesias had signed me on to do his tour with him. So it was me and Enrique, and we were at the Staples Center in LA, which of course is like the Wembley Arena of England, or the O2 Arena and stuff. So it's like a really, really famous place in LA. And my grandfather had just passed away. And I think I had to do that tour about a week later. Yeah, and I said it on stage, and I said, this is what my baba always asked me. So he always wanted to see was his son on the big stage, the #1 position. And I said, so this one's going out to you, I said, Baba, this is for you, man. I hope I make you proud. And it was one of those moments that I think I'll never forget. The crowd was basically crying. I was kind of like, crying. I had like a thingy in my throat. I couldn't sing the first song. But it was thinking about what my parents and my grandparents had sacrificed. My baba had to cut his hair just to get a job to work in a sausage factory in Southall. And then for them to see their son, doing big things, I think was probably some of the most fun moments for me.
That was such a heartfelt interview, with some laugh out loud moments and also such personal, moving ones. We hoped you enjoyed listening, and we are so grateful to Jay Sean for joining us on the Global Indian Creatives podcast, an interview series celebrating global Indian creatives.
Our thanks also go to the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, who are championing our purpose to inspire the next generation of creatives. And thank you for tuning in.
Next, you'll hear from award-winning creator, comedian and actor Parle Patel, who shares with us how he has navigated the world of social media to craft his creative career.